Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get into it with our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Nina Vasquez on the podcast. She's coming to us all the way from the windy city that is Chicago, where, I mean, it's nice to have another fellow Midwesterner on who at least understands cold, because, like, I had a couple of guests from California on. They're like, oh my God, it's 45 degrees. It's the apocalypse, basically. And I'm just like, okay,
That's summer for us.
Yeah, no, that's streaking weather right now. Are you kidding me? Basically, so
Yeah,
it's
it is.
but most importantly, she's on here to share her health and fitness journey. And Nina, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm excited for this.
Well, I asked this to every guest, even though I know what your answer is going to be. What is the weather like today?
Freezing cold. We're like below zeros today. Actually, today's probably the coldest. We were blessed with 45s 2 days ago, and then Mother Nature was like, let's hit you guys with 9 degrees today. Completely different. So it's definitely winter in Chicago finally.
That was like us. So I was gonna go to the zoo. Yes, I was gonna go to the zoo tomorrow, but the weather is just way too. It's not good enough. And like a week ago, it said it was gonna be like in the lower 30s, and I was like, okay, that's because a lot of it's outdoor stuff, and I could just like, yeah, I can walk through. That's fine. I mean, that's like weather that you sweat in this time of the year, basically. But so it's not gonna happen. But before we depress everyone with the winter weather woes, Nina, why don't you just start off by giving us your backstory and what really inspired and motivated you to get in shape and adapt this lifestyle?
So like you said, Nina here. And actually the only reason why I decided to do this whole fitness journey was because when my brother got out of the army, active duty, we were living in a basement apartment together, sharing one bedroom, a little awkward because we were both grown. I just gotten out of college. And apparently every job wants you to have like 10 years experience before hiring you. So we were stuck in a limbo. Active duty transition to civilian life was a little hard for him. So he was always at the gym because it was just awkward sharing, a bedroom with your sibling at that age, 25, and he was 25. I think I was 21. It was just weird. But I saw him transitioning like week by week by week, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And then one day he's like, why don't you just come to the gym? I was always a fitness person, strictly water polo and swimming, but it wasn't ever bodybuilding. It was just fit. Oh, she's just like slim and tender and fit, and that's about it. Um, so I decided to go with him. I saw these like badass females at the gym, competitor like, but at the time I didn't know what they were. I was like, oh my God, she looks like badass. My brother's like, oh, she competes. And everything just changed from there. And my brother introduced me to Mike Lacombe, who happens to be my coach right now for the past 4 years. He was like, yeah, that guy's a bodybuilding coach. And I was like, I'm just gonna ask. I'm gonna say I want to compete. I want to see if I want to do it. And that's literally how it started, was just because my brother, we just wanted to spend time together, but not time together at the same time. We're at the gym doing different things.
Yeah, I'm 27. If I had to sleep with my sibling in the same bed, I would probably just ask the gym owners, like, can I just sleep on the bench press, basically? Then it's like that,
Right.
just give me a pillow, just give me a pillow and a blanket, I'll be fine, really. But no, yeah, hey, and again, that's more motivation to get out of the house. Like, I wish I had that, where I just be like, yeah, I cannot stay in this house. So, but yeah, and I mean, when you were getting started, because like you said, you didn't have that much knowledge about the sport, and not many people do, because it's growing in popularity, but there still is just so many people that don't know anything about it. But did you have any myths or reservations about the sport before you got into it? Because there are so many myths out there about bodybuilding in general, but then when you add the female aspect to it, I mean, that's like 10 times more of the some of the stereotypes and myths that occur in the sport. But did you have any of those yourself before you got into the sport, or was it one of those things where you just
All I
wanted to dive
knew
right in?
about bodybuilding, when it came, my brother did watch Mr. Olympia, was just like hardcore steroids, and that's it. I didn't think about the nutrition aspect, like the training or anything. It was just like, oh, you gotta take all these different like steroids to get to that level. And they're very, very cocky people that are also insecure at the same time. That's what I was told. Like, they're very insecure, so this is why they do it, and they end up being cocky. And that was kind of like the mindset I had going in, until I went to the gym for the first time, and I was like, this is not what I thought it was. Like, it definitely wasn't cocky and arrogant
Oh, the
people.
insecure part is true, but the cocky part
The
isn't.
insecurity, yeah, because we always can get
Yeah,
better.
yeah. Oh, and,
Body
and this is
dysmorphia is
coming from an
fine.
insecure person myself, so I totally understand. I totally understand where that's coming from. But yeah, that's if I'm eventually probably gonna end up like writing a book or something like that of all the podcasts I've done. I'm gonna sign the thing is like, yeah, insecurity is a big thing in this sport, but I'm all for it because I'm as insecure as it comes myself, personally.
Yeah. So that was all I knew about bodybuilding. It was just like these big guys, and they're insecure and cocky at the same time. Everything else was just, I had no knowledge about anything else.
I was gonna say one of the best pranks you could ever do for a bodybuilder is you walk up to them when they're in the gym, you just like walk up right behind me and just whisper in their ear, looking a little small today, and then just walk away. Don't even wait for them to respond. Just walk away, and that's the biggest mind f that you can ever do on them, really. Where then you're gonna ruin their week basically. Where they're just like, oh my god, I got to do something. I got to train something
Yeah.
different. So if any of you have any bodybuilder friends out there and you just want to mess with them, do that, and do it with care though, because you probably will mess them up for a while. But yeah, that's just yeah, I found that I did that once to a guy, and he's like, "Don't ever do that to me again." Like really like that. He's like, I was like, "No, of course you're not looking small or whatever today." But then the only problem is that you're gonna deal with them asking you like, "Do I look small? Really? Do I look?" And I'm just
You
like,
get them
"Okay."
right in the heart saying that, right in the heart.
You get them right in the heart, but yeah, especially like in this lifestyle though, there's so many myths and misconceptions. Probably the biggest myth is that it's gotten better the last 5 years due to Instagram, but there's still so many women that have that fear that if they touch one dumbbell, they're going to put on 50 pounds of muscle overnight. First of all, I wish I had that self confidence because I'd be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company by now. And second of all, if that does happen to you, I'll spend my entire life savings to train with you once then because you have figured out the secret that every gym bro has been looking for their entire lives. And a lot of the females I've had on would be paying you all their life savings too to train with you then once. But did you ever have that fear? And even if you didn't, I mean, I bet you hear that all the time still today. How do you like to respond to that?
I did have that fear. My family put that fear in me when I said I wanted to compete. They're like, "You're gonna look like a guy. Like, why would you want to look like a guy? You're gonna get all muscular and bulky, and that's disgusting. That's not ladylike." Very Hispanic, Mexican, traditional background family. And I was like, "Oh." But luckily for my brother, he was like, "It takes years to even get there." And if it wasn't for my brother, I think I would have been stuck on that. But I have a lot of female friends that say, I want to like lose weight and look toned, but I don't want to lift heavy because I don't want to look bulky. And there's like this huge misconception of that. Like as soon as you touch like the free weights, you're all of a sudden gonna look like a guy the next day. And that's not how it works at all. I wish it does, because then I wouldn't have to go to the gym every single day. Um, and I don't know like why it just I think people don't understand the categories in competing. There's bikini, figure, physique, and then wellness, the newest one that came in. And I think a lot of girls are just automatically thinking just one specific category and completely disacknowledging the other ones. And it's hard to break that down. It's like really hard to explain to someone like, no, this is what bikini is, and this is what figure is, and this is what physique is. What you probably have your mind towards. Um, but it's almost like a daily question that I get all the time, or like just a fear of like, well, you should train with me. Like, oh, I don't want to look like a guy. Like, well, what are you trying to say? And then the insecurity part comes in. Do I look like a guy? Is that what you're trying to say? And then it just sucks because you're trying to build a movement for females, but we're being held back, and the other half is like going forward with it, especially in bodybuilding.
Well, I always respond to it's like, what kind of guys are you hanging out with then that like you think that these people look like guys? I want to meet the people that you're hanging out with then that you think are female that you think are guys then really. But yeah, yeah, I mean, well, and I gotta ask too because like there's two types of people on this podcast that I'm always astounded by if they ever try to do bodybuilding. Anyone from the South with that Southern cooking, I don't know how they're able to do it, and still
Oh,
do. And people that are Hispanic origin because it's like I love burritos, I love quesadillas, I love it. How are you able to like get in shape with that? Because like I would be forced to like I don't know how if I lived off of like a Hispanic food diet, like I don't think I could do it because like they're so good, but they're like it's also not the best thing for you too. So
it's
how
not.
how did you deal with that then too? Especially with you said like traditional sort of like Mexican parents where they probably did just want to have you over and feed you full of all that food.
It was hard. When I decided to do like a off season program with Mike, I didn't like it was my first time, so I didn't really realize that nutrition was completely changed. I didn't even know what I was thinking, to be honest, until I got the plan and I was like, what is this? Like ounces, grams? Like I was kind of like, okay. And I would ask him like, can I have a cheat meal? And he's like, no, we just started. And I was like, oh. But my mom would get butt hurt and she was like, so you're not gonna eat the tacos I just made you? And I'm like, well, my coach said no, like it's not part of the plan. And it was hard. It started getting hard at first when your family was like, "Oh no, you can have a little bit of this. Like it's just steak." But it's like, "No, yeah, you made it with oil and everything. Like you can't." And they didn't. I had to explain it to them. Like it doesn't match out with this. And it was very insulting sometimes when you go to a Hispanic party and you decline their food. They get insulted right away. But
What, you
it's
think you're better than me basically? Yeah,
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 and they
yeah.
just like, I spent all this time cooking. And for some reason, my family thinks parties just means straight eating, which it is. A lot of it is just good food. I missed out the tacos, the cakes that we had, everything. But as the years went by, they understand now. So now when they see me come to a party and they see me with my meal, they understand, oh, she's in prep. Okay, we get it. We're not going to ask her. we're gonna offer it, but we're gonna know she knows that she's gonna say no. But it was really hard for them to understand. And my dad had like a it took him like a year and a half to come around it. And not just like the eating, but like what we had to wear, the suits. And he's like, "Why are you going half naked on stage?" I was like, trying to explain it was really hard.
I had a Colombian roommate in college, and his parents sort of lived close to our college, so we'd go over there, like once a month or whatever. Food. I purposely didn't eat anything the whole day leading up to it because I knew that they would expect me to eat so much. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to eat anything the whole day. And then at night when we got there, I would just pig out, and then I was their favorite because I would eat everything that they served for me, and they'd be like, oh, he eats so much and stuff like that. And I was like, well, because I didn't eat any. I know you guys are going to feed me well, so yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't. How do they deal with it, especially around holidays, since we are past the holiday season? But I can imagine that's extra special, kind of, because even for me, just working out a lot and stuff like that, it's like I'm not gonna lie, I let myself go and pig out basically every Christmas Eve and stuff. But how do you deal with that, especially around the holidays?
It was hard. Usually I start prep January 1st. So I always have holidays as off season. If you hear someone barking, that's my dog.
Oh, I love dogs.
Um,
Don't no, they can bark as much as they want. Are you kidding me? Well,
she's
first of all,
looking at me.
quick tangent. What kind of dog do you have?
She is a Labrador pit bull. She's mixed. She's definitely mixed, and she's starting to. I think she wants her toy. I can't really tell, but if you hear her
Your
bark,
dog would eat our dog for breakfast. We have a little Cavachon. It's a little like 8 pound dog basically. Then so your dog would step on our dog. But I'm the if anyone if you hear any barks in the background, don't complain about it because I love
don't
dogs. I
mind
don't care.
her.
Yeah, don't mind her. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, like, I was able to dodge prep during the holidays, and I would have like enjoy my holiday meals. This year was my first time doing 20-week prep for nationals, and I started the week before Thanksgiving. And I'm also a Chicago police officer, so we always work holidays as it is. For by the grace of God, I was off Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, and I had to host them both. It was the worst. Like before, I was at work, so it was kind of easy to be like, "All right, I can't come over. I got to go to
Were you
work."
just giving them like whey protein for their drinks and stuff like that on
I
Thanksgiving?
got to cook, and I was like, it was hard because I like to like if I'm cooking, I want to try and make sure it's good, and I was like, I don't know, like here's the turkey, guys. Like I hope it's good. I couldn't try it, but that was the first time where it really did not bother me, but I was kind of like, dang, this sucks. Like for the first time, I'm off for two holidays after like 3 years, and I'm in prep, but it's worth it. Like it's gonna be worth it towards the long end. But that did test it out. I'm like, oh, this is how we're starting prep. We're gonna miss on the holidays that I magically have off. But back then, like I said, I was always working, so it never really bothered me as much. It was just kind of like whatever. It's another regular day.
Which I mean, you just got to give them their chicken and mustard then basically, and say, hey, make with it then I guess. But see, I'm sorry, but with jobs that have you work the holidays like that for me, that's like I threatened to quit almost anytime I had a job that like did that thing, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way. But then more power to people that work through the holidays and stuff like that. I know you get like extra pay and stuff like that, but for me, yeah, it's like first of all, my family would literally walk into the job and complain to the boss, being like, why is he working on holidays and stuff like that. So the boss would have to deal with that type of stuff on top of me then too. So it's like, yeah. So I found ways around that, but more power to you for that too. But are you also, or so are you National Guard then?
I'm reserves right now.
Reserves? Yep.
Yeah,
Well, thank
for
you for your service. I mean, being a police officer and a guardsman, I mean, not a reserves. Ugh. See, I got my brain farts. I'm still
you're
recovering
all
from
good.
COVID, everyone. My brain's still a little rusty there. So, yeah, she's in the reserves and also in the police force. So, yeah. So, what is that like? I mean, because I know police schedules can be very hectic at times when it comes to hours and stuff like that. How is that like finding the right balance between like being able to work out and being able to, live a healthy lifestyle where it's like you got to get your sleep, you got to get your cardio in while also doing police schedules, which can be very rough.
Um, it was rough. So I did my first show as bikini back in 2018. And then I joined the force for CPD 20, like a few months after I was invited into the force. I prepped 3 times, and every single prep I had to step down. One, I was 2 weeks out because Chicago finally hired me and I started the academy. That one sucked because I went through a whole prep and I was like, well, I had to step down. The second time, military was like, we're sending you away for a while, had to step down. The third time, the military did the same thing again. We're sending you away, had to step down. So this past year, when I finally competed figure, it was the first time after 3 years trying to compete because of the jobs. But now I kind of figured it out. Like the only time I really can safely prep is between January and do the earliest shows and get it out of the way. Anything in summer is never going to happen because CPD in summer is very, very busy, and a lot of the military orders happen around August. So it took it took a couple of years to kind of figure out the schedule. And at this point in time, all my chain of command understands like my fitness lifestyle. So now they're very supportive. They've been supportive and they do their best in trying to accommodate for those who do have this type of passion. Because there's a select few that I know in the department do the same thing. But it sucked. It sucked going through 3 preps and not being able to compete.
And this is so much more of a mental sport than it is a physical sport. And unfortunately, most people do not understand that because they'll just see the physical changes. They won't see the mental changes as well. But what has this journey been like for you mentally? Because that's one thing that, I mean, it's 10 times more important than any of the physical changes that you'll ever see.
It is mentally. It was just draining, very, very draining. And I can definitely say things that bothered me quick or broke me down quick 3 years ago does not even phase me. A lot of things don't phase me now. It's a very like, it is what it is. They happen. I'm just gonna move on with my day. Back then, I would probably spend like the whole week just being bothered and upset and just being like a negative Nancy the entire time. Now I'm like, whatever. I can't do it. It is what it is. Like I'm gonna try a different. Like if I couldn't do it, I would find a different method to figure it out. And if I couldn't do it, then I would just like move on to my next goal. That's what it was. But it took a long time to get to that mindset of the whole like, are you gonna milk it for 5 minutes or you're gonna get it over within 5 minutes? And it was even till now, even now with CPD, even in the military, it's very like CPDs disbanding teams, throwing us into 12-hour days, cancel days off, and that makes it hard. But then I had to remind myself, like, well, this is a passion you picked, and you're whoever else is going to be going on that stage, they're giving it their best, and I had to do the same thing.
Well, please tell me that you work out before work because I have had to work 12-hour days before. And if I don't get my workout in before, there's no way in hell that I'm getting my workout in after work.
It's happened before. It has, yeah. So I work well. My new hours are afternoons. I start at 3 p.m. now, so I wake up super early to do my fasted, and then chill, and I go to the gym. But knowing that that's secured and in the bag and taken care of, work flows easily. I try doing it after, never again, because you're not really granted to get out on time, and you're just tired after the day. So I've been doing it before work as long as the schedule stays the same.
Oh yeah, my work becomes actually enjoyable. Like if I have my workout, and not when I'm worried about like, oh yeah, I got to work out after this or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, like when I was in college, and I used to do those like Amazon shifts where it's like 4 hour shifts, and if I ever did like two of them in a day, I'd always schedule like a 3 hour break in between, like both the shifts, and then I just get a workout in there. But yeah, yeah, those 12-hour shifts, man, I tell you, I mean, yeah, when you don't have anything else to worry about, like, that's why I wish that I wasn't that into this lifestyle too, because, like, if I was just like the average Joe who just worried about work, like, my life would be so much easier. Like, it would just be,
So much
oh
easier.
my God, like, it would be, I might actually be able to, like, have fun and, like, and that's another thing too, is, like, you do have to sacrifice a lot of your social life. Being a cop in general, you have to sacrifice a lot of your social life as well. So, how do you do you just realize that like you're not going to be able to find that balance, or is it one of those things where like you try to find a balance in life doing that? I mean, being a cop, being a bodybuilder, being in the reserves, I mean, your social time is maybe you might get like a minute a day.
During prep, I'm just anti-social bunny, and but everyone knows at this point. So you're gonna invite me a party. 90% of the time, I'm not gonna go. Especially the closer I get to the show date, it's definitely not happening. If it's a holiday, I'll stop for like an hour or two. Like, hey, here I am. All right, see you later. But it's just catching up on sleep because the free time I do have, it's either I'm gonna catch up on sleep or run the errands I need, like groceries outside, like your actual adult life that you had to run. But I always say to myself and to my close friends, like once prep comes, like I'm sorry guys, I'm be MIA for a little bit, but I'll be back in off season. It's a fine mixture.
So how do you do with being a cop and being with that prep brain too as well? Because like I'm sorry, if I'm the guy of the force, I'm like I do not want to give her a gun when she's on prep brain. Everyone, okay? That's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh my goodness. So when I finally hit peak week, luckily I took the days off. I saved all my personal days and saved certain days that you're allowed to take off for that time. I put in my like, my to from, which is like basically a request, and I had peak week off because I felt it. I felt so drained. And my partner, I think he deserves the biggest thanks for my patience. He's washed me, as he likes to say, like, oh, she gets like a skeleton face, she gets a little weird. He's like, ow. And he gets it. He knows like
Hey,
I'm tired.
you're the perfect for good cop, bad cop. You can just be the bad cop then, basically, then without being on prep brain. Yeah, basically. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm like, and he gets it. And he
yeah,
warns people, like, don't talk to her, don't
yeah,
don't like leave her alone, let her
yeah,
be.
yeah.
um there are days where I'm like just out of it. And if I'm out of like if I'm badly out of it, obviously I will like warn my partner, but we work through it. He gets it, I get it. He knows like those little meals I have, I'll have a burst of energy and then I'm back to my like slowing down. We just pray that we're not busy that day.
I've always said the close associates of any of them, I guess, they're the real unsung heroes of this podcast, really. So, give them a shout out there because they got to deal with all this stuff, all this stuff. But
Every day.
when it comes to being a cop in law enforcement, where'd you get that inspiration to become a cop? Was it just something that you always wanted to do, or something that you just saw and just like, hey, you know what, that seems like a calling?
Um, my brother, we're literally the same person, just he's a guy and I'm a girl. He's in the military and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." After college, I was like, he didn't go to college, he went to military instead. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. I want to do it." So I joined. And then we came back home. Um, he enlisted into CPD. I tried the office job, the sit down 8 hours. It was not for me. I couldn't do it. I had no patience for it. And my brother was the one who was like, "Well, why don't you just try for CPD? They're doing mass hiring. It's just like the military." And I was very successful in the military, so I tried it, and now I'm CPD. So we're just following his little footsteps everywhere we go.
Which I have an office job, and with my hyperactivity, how do you think it's going? Ryan, sit on
It's
that,
rough.
sit
It's
in that.
rough.
It's just like me in school. We're just like, Ryan, sit in that chair for 7.5 hours and learn. Hopefully, you'll learn something. So it's not working out. But I mean, especially in bodybuilding, there's so many things that people don't understand, like are so hard for a lot of these competitors. But the number one thing I think is posing, where most people do not understand that posing is the hardest thing for a lot of these competitors. Harder than your training, harder than your nutrition. What has your experience with posing been like?
Sucks. Like, I mean, from bikini posing to figure, it's a whole different ball game. And I have a posing coach. Kate Lane is my posing coach. It gets harder the leaner you get because the more cramps there's happening. But I break a sweat. I feel like it's like doing cardio. You're holding every like position and you're sweating, you're cramping. But it's really important. I learned that. I've seen phenomenal physiques and their posing just didn't deliver and it sucks because that's what judges they want to see the posing and the confidence. And I seen still phenomenal physiques, but like their posing was just like amazing on top of it. And that what really gets the attention on the crowd. But when I try to tell people because like, oh, posing's fun, I was like, huh. I was like, no, not really. I was like, it's fun to do when it's like show day, but it's not fun when you're leading up to it because it hurts. It's just car. I always tell people it's like doing hit cardio.
Oh yeah, you could look like the Atlas man basically, and if you don't know how to pose, I mean, good luck to you. I mean, that's the one thing about this sport that most people, yeah, do not. And I hear that too. It's like, oh, it seems like it's fun and stuff like that. And it's like, I want to take you then to Ken Walk or something like that for a day, and then see how you're going after that because yeah,
Let me know.
it is not fun at all. But I mean, on top of that too, out of the poses that you do, what is your favorite pose and what is your least favorite pose?
My favorite pose is the back pose, just because I like to show the V taper. And then my least favorite is one of my quarter turns. The one that had, well, to my right is my least favorite. It's just I'm just not as flexible that way compared to the other way.
Hey, I had one guest on who I'll publish the podcast in like a week who literally I was talking about her tattoos and she forgot which side her tattoo was on. So you're fine. You're totally
Yeah, I had
fine
to
there
think
without
about it.
knowing
I
the
was
side.
like, this is the
Yeah.
side.
Oh yeah. She like started to show me like on this side. She's like, oh wait, it's actually on this side. And first of all, she had only one other tattoo, so I was like, okay, you would think that you'd, but hey, dealing with bodybuilders and their prep brains and all that, you never know what you're gonna get in here. But yeah, with the back pose, I mean, the real other positive of that too is that like you don't have to have smile. That's one thing that people do not understand about these shows is that your jaw muscles are gonna be the most sore thing after this show from smiling all that damn time. I'm not a natural smiler. Like I'll just yeah like that. So like I couldn't. I honestly I could not imagine doing that. But when you walk up on that stage, I mean, let's be honest. You've been through a prep, which is just like hell on earth. And anyone that disagrees with me at that, I have an insane asylum that I'd like to sign you up for. Then I'll drive you to it myself for the safety of the public. But what is that moment like for you? And you get to walk up on that stage and just show off all that hard work that you've worked months upon months on.
Last year I did 2 shows back to back, and that prep meant a lot because it was finally the 4th prep, and a show was gonna finally happen. So going on that stage, I didn't care what I placed. I didn't like my mind was like, "Oh, we made it. We're here to stage." And I felt like I placed well. I did my first one I did first in all my classes, but I was on there smiling as if I won overall. I didn't care. I was like, "Guys, it's been 3 years and we're finally here. We made it. Like we made it." And I think that was one of my most greatest accomplishments aside to my like buying a house, and that's like a different accomplishment, but it's up there. And it was just a relief, like finally, like I didn't even care about the food. I was like, here I am. Let me showcase my muscles real quick.
So, like, were you, like, in the mindset, like, if I break a leg, I'm just gonna drag myself onto that stage then, basically then? Like, I don't care what happens, like, I'm gonna go walk on that stage, basically? 3rd time finally?
Honestly, because people would ask, they're like, "Aren't you scared, like CP, if you get injured?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I'm gonna make it one way or another because this is my fourth prep, and I'm not about to starve myself
I will
again."
crawl on
Yeah,
that damn stage if I have to, basically then, and just be like, "Yeah, look at me," yeah, just on the yeah, so, no, but
just
that's
focus on this side.
yeah. Which I mean that's why like I told you before, like we started recording this podcast. Anyone that's like in the military, like in the police force that has a job where like you don't know what's gonna happen, like that's even more inspiring to me that you do this lifestyle because like I told you before, you need to be like a super type A person that like has their entire day needs to be like planned, down pat, and it has to go that schedule really in order to maintain this. But I mean, just have all the hurdles that you've gone through, especially with like working in the police force and like having those preps where they just tell you at the last second, oh, you thought you were gonna compete this year? Psych. Yeah,
It's like
yeah, you're gonna do that. Yeah. So just to be able to go through that, I mean, yeah, that is amazing. And now my favorite question to ask: what is your go-to post-show meal?
oh, tacos. My mom's tacos though. Like, let me call my mom and be like, "I need those homemade tacos now."
Does she put anything special in them that makes them different or anything?
She likes to like she makes a certain salsa that I like, and it's a green salsa. But she knows I like my tacos a little bit crunchy, and she likes to dip the tortilla in oil. Very unhealthy, like the most unhealthiest you can have after. But that's what I like. I know that she likes it crunchy, and she overstacks it with meat. And if anyone has been to taco places, some barely give you any meat on your tacos. It's just like little small things. She doubles up the tortillas, make sure they're oiled and a little crunchy, and all my favorite toppings.
Don't hate me, but I absolutely hate salsa. I don't care what it is. No matter
What?
what salsa it is, I hate it more than life. Like I have meat and cheese on my tacos, really, and that's about it, really. Where
You
it's
can't
just
go wrong with the cheese, though.
I know, but like
Cheese is good.
yeah, I have not had one salsa that I've liked, and I'm not gonna lie. Even the Colombian that I talked to you about, I told his parents, I was like, I mean, no disrespect, I just don't like any one salsa, so I'm not even gonna try. And I tried it, and I was like, good, and I never had it again. Where I was just, yeah,
Is it like the spiciness you don't like, or
that
just
too.
salsa texture?
I'm pure Norwegian, okay? So anything spicy is not gonna do well with my system, really.
Okay.
That's just asking. And like we're gonna be honest, like my nationality, we were built to be kind of like tall and skinny because all we have is like lefse and lutefisk, which is just like fish, really, basically. So it's like, yeah, we're not really having anything spicy or anything really good. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, if I ever want to lose weight, then then I'll go and I'll have like some salsa and some stuff like that, just because I'm like, I need to lose 5 pounds overnight. So it's like, okay, yeah, just
Well,
have some,
sweat it.
just sweat it out rather bit, or I'll go get some Indian food too, where that's just yeah, I had some of that in college too, and oh my god, yeah, that I mean the curry's great, but I mean it's just oh my god, it just it runs through me, where and luckily it takes some stuff out of me too as it's going out, but enough of that. I don't want to discuss too many of our
A little
guests, but I
mini
mean,
detox, we'll just say
oh
that.
yeah, it's a nice little detox, and for anyone out there who's looking for one, that's the one that I do recommend. But I mean, I hate cardio more than life itself. And when I say cardio, I mean actual running. Like I can go for walks, and I'm totally fine with that. But like I have a friend who runs marathons, and I'm convinced that it's a mental illness. Where like I even want to go to one of his marathons at the end and be like, just hold up a sign that says you didn't have to do this, really, and then just like I don't know, but
Are you okay?
what is your relationship like with cardio? Because unfortunately, being in the reserves and being in the police
Mhm.
force, you have to maintain somewhat of a cardio because like they don't want you chasing down people if you're like 400 pounds and just it's not going to be fun. So, what is your relationship like with cardio? And being a bodybuilder too, you sort of have to sign a deal with the devil too when it comes to cardio.
I hate cardio. Like, I hate being told I have to do cardio. I don't mind doing cardio. And if I do cardio, it's military like. I like to do rucks. I like to, put on a bag and it's at a pace. Um, I like running to an extent. It will never be a marathon, but it'll be a nice like 2 mile run because I need to anyways for the military in order to pass a PT test. But I can't like we had to do a half marathon for the first time last summer or before COVID happened. And never again. I during the marathon, I was like, how do people do this? Like, how do people do a full marathon? Everything was hurting, everything is aching. But during prep, um, it's weird. Like some days I'm super like, yeah, let's get to it. Like I'm 100%. And then other days, like the stairs, it's like 5 minutes for 20 whole minutes. Like it doesn't change. It doesn't change at all. So it's a love hate when it comes to prep, and I don't know why. Like I'm trying to tell myself every morning, like here we go, like we got it, and it's not there some mornings. But during off season, like all day, every day, just because I'm told I don't have to do it, but I'm gonna go do it.
Which I'm sorry, if you're next to me and you're one of those "here we go" people, I'll just be like, "Shut the F up." Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm here just so I don't I'm here just so I don't become obese, really. That's my main thing with cardio. It's like, it's not fun. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah, but with walking, like I said, like I go on walks, especially in the summer all the time. I live next to a nice little like nature park where, it's like 10 miles of forest really. We can just walk around it. So I do that a lot where it's perfect for me that way. But I mean, sleep is the most important part of this lifestyle and basically in life in general. And anyone that disagrees with me on that, pull an all-nighter, which I'm pretty sure you've probably done being in the reserves and being in the army and being a cop as well, and then go and try to work out and tell me how that works for you. What is your relationship with sleep like? Because that's something, I mean, even as you get closer in prep, sleep becomes so much more important, but it becomes harder to get.
that's actually like the hardest thing that me and my coach struggle every prep. It was always sleep. It was like, well, how many hours did you sleep last night? I'm like 4. I was like, listen, and we know he gets it. Like, I'm military this weekend, so I work third watch with CPD. I'm out at 11, but I got to report. I got to get up at 4 in the morning for military. So everything just like it sucks because like your body's so used to a certain schedule. I try to get my like 6 hours of sleep, quote unquote, but there are days where you get a later rest and you're stuck there for another 4 hours. And fasted cardio becomes a problem because you're not going to sleep 2 hours and get up and do fasted because sleep is important. And then it's just really, it's a very toxic problem that my coach had and I have every single prep. And it's just because of the careers and it's the military. Hey, come over here where we need you early in the morning. And when it comes to like long orders, you don't know when you're going to get released. They'll tell you, you'll be done at 3. 3 comes like 4. 4 comes, you're still there at 7
Oh,
p.m.
so they're like every personal trainer that's ever lived? One more set. Oh, no, no, wait, we got
Just
one
one more.
more. Nope, we got another one. Nope, we're not done yet. Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is. So right now, sleep is okay because it's still summer. It's not too busy, but come around April, everything's going to change. So it's just a battle every day. I tried it, or I live on naps now at this point in my life.
I mean, you just gotta have like an IV of adrenaline just hooked up to you like at 24/7. Really, where like me, unfortunately, as soon as I get up, I'm not falling back asleep. Now, when I say like get up, like if I have an alarm set for like 7:30, I can just roll over and punch it out and then go back to sleep. But like when I'm talking about like actually getting up, like I'm never go like if even if it's an hour of sleep, like I just can't fall back asleep. Napping, I close my eyes and that's napping for me. I don't fall asleep. I just close my eyes and I just lay there and it's just, it's a blessing and a curse, but of being this hyperactive at times where it's like, yeah, you get me in like a warehouse environment, which is where I work, but I also do like a desk work too. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll outperform everyone there just because it's just it's like, that's my brain really. That's the sounds that it's making right now really, but it's sleep for
that's
me.
rough. So just laying there and not being able to fall, like, take a little quick cat nap.
Oh, like without these bad boys, melatonin, like I'm going to sleep probably at like 4 a.m. every night. Then if I don't take
What?
those things, yeah, I just can't. It's gotten worse as I've gotten older. Like as a kid, I was the one that got up super early and just was like never phased. Like I didn't need sleep, but I think that's affecting me now. Is I'm 27, so that's affecting me. A little bit older in life now, where do need to take it. And like if I do fall asleep though, like I will sleep like the full 8 hours and stuff like that normally. But like if like someone wakes me up or something like that, or if my damn dog decides to come in and lick my face, then
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's a bad
The dogs
situation.
always get you up. Like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yep. They don't understand. I mean, I always tell my dog, I always tell my dog, it's like, yeah, you must have had a hard day at work. Must have been very intensive for you. I feel bad for you, but no, it's that's a whole different thing. But I mean, in this lifestyle, I mean, there's so many things about this sport that most people don't understand. What are probably some of the biggest myths that you hear from like friends and family about this? Well, obviously, like you're gonna look like a man thing, but anything other than that, really?
That you starve yourself
Yeah.
with to an extent.
To an extent, you
To an
do,
extent.
but like it's not what they think it is when it comes to
Yeah,
starving.
they think like, or people think like because I eat 6 meals a day, I'm eating really good. And on Instagram, my stories, my meal looks big. You see it in person, it's a little bird meal. They're like, "Oh my god, I thought you were eating more than that." I don't think people get what a calorie deficit is. I think they like explain to someone it's like by the week it changes. I think they think it's a drastic like you eat whatever and then boom, you're starving yourself. Like, yeah, in a healthy way. Not crazy. I always get that. And then I think the main one is the female one though. That you're gonna look like a guy. And it's all the time. All the time. You're like, oh, why do you find that attractive? Like you're gonna look like a guy.
like, people don't understand the massive amounts of drugs that you'd have to take, like, for that to happen, like,
Yeah.
I have had some guests on where I don't tell them, but, like, yeah, they do kind of, like, look like that. Like, there are some people that, like, do and I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, they do exist in the sport, but there's so many more that don't look like that, but, like, yeah, there are some that people look at and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's what you're gonna turn out to be," and it's like, first of all, those are mainly the physique competitors and the bodybuilders where it's just, like yeah, but, yeah, it's just that too, and it's like, yeah, that's one thing that I will never understand myself, and but luckily it has been getting better. I've heard at least from people, but that also leads me into. I mean, I love talking about like what it's like, sort of getting reactions from people because like if you were to walk out just the way you are right now, which first of all, do not do that when it's that cold out right now.
Oh,
That's just from a fellow Midwesterner to yourself. Do not do that. But second of all, I mean. I sort of compare it to like being a mini celebrity where it's like you are going to draw people's attention. They're just going to be like, oh, wow, that's
yeah.
fascinating because it's not something that they normally see, especially as you get closer to your show. But
Oh,
what
yeah.
what has that been like for you sort of dealing with that extra added attention that you're gonna get?
Um, so I just closed my house last year. So I have new neighbors. And when I closed it, I was well into off season and just like bulky. And then I finally saw my neighbor. She came up to me and she was just telling me about a story. And she's like, why are you like super thin, like anorexic skinny? And I was a week away from my show. And I was literally
Be
like,
like, "Okay,
oh, I
bitch."
do bodybuilding. I mean,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was right. And it was summer. So, here it's like 50 degrees. We're wearing shorts. And I was like, oh, I'm getting ready for a bodybuilding show. She's like, you're like bones only. It's funny to see my neighbor's reaction. And then they finally see me like fluffing up again. They're like, oh, you look normal. You look healthy now. And I'm like, thanks. Thanks for noticing. Even at work, I get a lot. They're like, "Oh my god, like you're just like your face is so skinny," and I'm like, "Guys, it's just this week. Like I'll be back. I'll be back to normal once I start eating and everything." But I get that a lot, and I moved into another house with my boyfriend. So I have my house, and I moved here. So I'm getting used to these neighbors. And right now, because it's cold, they can't see anything. We're all covered up. But I get the reactions at the gym. We have a new home gym, and week by week, we get leaner and leaner, and I can just tell when they stare more frequently. And it's kind of cool because you're like they get to see it week by week, but I get really shy sometimes and really like, oh, don't stare at me, like super awkward.
Well, tell your neighbors they're talking crap. You do know I'm a cop, right? It's like, come on, you're gonna call me skinny like a twig and stuff like that. So it's like I have your address and I know your car
I'm
license
like,
plate and stuff like that. So
I was like, just tell me I'm lean, don't
yeah.
tell me I'm skinny.
Which that was the biggest shock for me too, because like we did have a female that competed in my college gym, and I went to like go give her a hug right before she left her show, and it is like hugging a skeleton basically, where you're just like,
Yeah.
like you're like, what is like, you're like, I even like touched her arm and I was like, what is that like right there? Really, I mean, like she was in great shape and stuff like that. Like there was stuff there, but it's like you can almost like feel the yeah. It was that to me is like the funny part about the sport is that like yeah, the extremes and people do not understand first of all that look is not 24/7 maintainable, which is another
Yeah.
myth that I love to talk about because people do not understand. Yeah, like, it's like you're not gonna be able to look like that 24/7. We have people that have tried to do that, and first of all, let's be honest, you're not at your healthiest when you're walking on that stage just because of all the dieting down and everything. But what was that like when you first realized that, like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to maintain this look? And has it gotten easier for you to accept that as your career in the sport has gone on?
After these shows when I was going to reverse dieting, and I speak about it so heavily now. I think the reverse dieting post show was the hardest thing that I've experienced. I will go through prep without a problem, but because it was my first real show and finally went through peak week and went through my leanest, that was the hardest thing for me. And I shut down. Like I stopped, I went quiet on social media. I was at home like I'm getting fat, and my mom's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Look at this!" Like I had like a mental breakdown, and I was like going through like a, and I don't like to use the word loosely, like but like a mini depression. I just wasn't talking to anyone. I was super insecure. I lost motivation to go to the gym, um, and it took me like 4 months to get myself out of that little hole. And the more I reached out to teammates and other people who've been competing for a while, they're like, "Oh, the post blues, like it's real." And I've finally been seeing more people talk about it. Like the reverse dieting is important because what we are that peak week, it's not healthy, it's not sustainable. Genetically, some people are gifted to have abs and washboard and everything, but most of us aren't. And I wish it was talked about more. I wish people were like, hey, post show, you have to understand we got to get back to the realistic because it's just body dysmorphia at its finest. Your idea of normality is completely disrupted. And when I finally accepted it, then I was like, oh my God, I went back to my like stage photos and I was like, why did I think that was like "Ugh, like, why did I think that was perfect?" And then I'm looking at my healthy side, I'm like, "This is what I'm supposed to be looking at." And I'm glad I went through it though, so that come this show, I'm mentally prepared to go through transition again. But that was the hardest. I don't like it. It was hard. It was definitely
I've
hard.
had 2 of those damn genetic freaks on, and every time I think about then screw those people. I hope they wake up 400 pounds one day, and I even told them that on the podcast. I was like, "I hope that God's just playing a cruel joke on you, and one of these days, all that." Because, like, my dad also has a friend. I mean, my dad's, like, 60 years old, and he has a buddy in height and that still to this day, he could eat 10 Snickers bars a day and not put on an ounce of fat. Like,
What? See, I wish that was me. I wish all tacos in the world.
I don't understand it, and, like, he likes to like, he used to work a desk job with my dad too because they were buddies in college where, like, he would literally my dad would just see him go to the vending machine, like, 5 times a day and just come back with, like, candy, and he would just laugh at my dad and just be like, "Yeah, not gonna gain an ounce," and he's still, like, super like, he's in really great shape still to this day, and it's like, "Oh, I hate you." But, like, yeah, before I don't wanna get too much into that too because it's like, if we have any people that know any, like, how to put curses on people or anything like that, hook me up, let's get something going on because that's it. That taunting has gone on long enough. But now, like, if someone were to walk up to you and say, like, "Nina, we made the decision. You can change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding and everyone would go along with it," what would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
Um, let's see, one sport or one thing about the sport.
I can give you mine first.
What is yours?
Well, first of all, obviously it would be the pay because, like, in my opinion, like, if you are a pro in this
Oh,
sport, like, you should not have to work another job. Like, that should be like just your career, really. Where it's like, yeah, that's the one thing for two where it's like people don't understand that you're losing money doing this, really. Where it's like you're not gaining anything, and then like I've had some people that have come on, they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, to hopefully like make some money and stuff like that. I was like, well, good luck, you know. Call me if that happens and tell me how you did it, really, basically. So yeah. That to me, and also with the judging too, it's like you said, you did back to back shows. One of those shows they might want you a little bit more leaner look, and then the next show they might want you a little bit more of a fuller look. Where it's like just have a little bit more of an overall standard where people can just like go to instead of it just being like sort of judge specific because it is human judgment when it comes down to it. I mean, it's like there are going to be certain criterias that other people are going to like more than others. I mean, it's just human nature.
that's true. I especially that actually has been the problem. I wish it wasn't so political. So I think one thing that I have complained about, now that I think about it, is I don't like when someone goes into a show and judges already know about this person. They got so many followers on and they're winning it simply for the promoters to get credit because they brought attention to the show and clout, quote unquote. Because I know some crazy hardworking people with like just 4 to 5 thousand followers, hardest worker, way better physiques, placing low because this person has a time and day post 24/7 on social media. And I'm not taking away from them, but it's just really unfair when it becomes political. And I wish I was taken out because it's unfair. It's unfair for someone to kind of have like, oh, okay, they know me. I'm gonna keep on tagging them, and then like the placing happens, and then when you put two physiques together and one completely outshines the other, but the other one wins, you can only sit there and wonder, was it political?
Hmm. Yeah. That to me too as well. Yeah, because I've heard stories like that too. It's like, oh, that person has 200,000 Instagram followers. That's yeah. I mean, and I understood like if it wasn't a competition, how they'd be like, oh yeah, we want that person to like win and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, it's a show where it shouldn't be based off of what your outside credentials are because
Yeah,
otherwise, you just have someone with like 10 million followers who just win every year. So it's just yeah. But I mean, it seems like it doesn't happen as much as it does, but there are cases for sure that like I've seen that like I know for a fact that's happened. But hopefully they do get their act together and just more publicity in it as well. Because like they used to have bodybuilding on ESPN, and now they have like cornhole championships, and it's like
yeah.
what's that all about? Like cornhole, really? I mean, a sport that you play when you're drunk in your backyard, really, on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, basically, is a
Really,
sport
and
that,
I
yeah,
think that's where the political part comes in because I wish there was more of a light on bodybuilding.
yeah.
It's just kind of like to the side. Like we're making a movement where it's becoming popular, but it's like a misconception. Like it's a healthy thing, but people are like, "Oh, that's super unhealthy." Like, why would people want to do that to their bodies at the same time? Like, goes doesn't go hand in hand.
Which is why when I was thinking about like health and fitness guests, like obviously I was like, oh, I'll just do male bodybuilding with them. I was like, no, because no one ever pays attention to the females ever, and really, and it's like that's uncharted territory. And I did not see any female bodybuilding podcasts up at the time. Now there's like a couple dozen of them, and I'd like to take credit for a few of them because there are a few of them. I'm not going to name names. Where if you look at them, they follow the same exact format that I do. They ask basically a lot of the same questions. Where it's like, just give me the damn credit. But I won't be too bitter about that because I'm glad that at least more exposure has come. But yeah, and now as we get ready to wrap things up, I mean, I love to talk about tattoos. What are the stories behind some of your tattoos? Because we see that you got a lot of them.
I know I have a bunch of them. This one's probably my favorite one. I don't know if you can hang out the light is it's like a hand
Oh,
tattoo right
yep.
there. That's probably my favorite one. It's an eye with the sun and the moon, and it's very like third eye type of like perception. And I believe in that. I'm really into whatever the universe plans. Let it be. Go with it. If it's meant to be, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. And that's the reason why I got that tattoo. The other tattoo is my ribs, and it's like here across, and it's wings with my brother's name because that's my best friend and one of my role models. And then my third, and I have like a three top, and then it's this one, and it's just a lion with a female warrior on top because and everything I do is they're very male dominant.
Well, the one up here, is that like a or on the other side, is that like a pulse or something like that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pulse with my mom's name.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I know a lot of
Oh,
people get those. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, we got a pulse one here then too. Yeah. So yeah.
my mom was getting mad. I was getting tattoos like from left to right. And I went to get this really big one here, and I was like, let me get her name tatted so she doesn't give me another problem. And I was like,
Well, thankfully you didn't get like one of those like moms with a heart thing like that because that's the oldest one in the book. So at
it
least you added
is.
some at least you added something to that. And now, I mean, as we get ready to wrap things up, I mean, where would you like to be at a year from now? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved a year from today? Because I'd like to have you on a year from now and just talk about your success. So where would you like to be at a year from today?
A year from now, pro, hopefully. That'll be a pro card holder, or if not, just crushing regional shows. And I want to definitely be in specialized units within CPD. Whether it's our narcotics team, whatever new units they're coming in with, like FBI task force. I want to further my career in that, but in with bodybuilding, aiming for a pro card and working well with my sponsors. I have a Sempre Fit meal prep, which is like a meal company. Just helping him build his company here in Illinois. So just different little goals in every little aspect.
That is awesome. And I honestly think you're going to do great. And I can't wait to see where you're at a year from now. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Well, my best friend Julia, she is a pro card holder. Hopefully, she is. She's going to be in Olympia stage 2022. She's the reason why I went figure. And
Well, we're gonna have to try to see if we can get her on then. Jeez, what's her last name?
Julia Champ is what J Champ is what people know her
Oh
as.
my god, yeah. So that's her. Yeah, I've been trying to get her on for forever. Jeez, yeah,
That's my best friend.
yeah. Well, see
um,
here's how you do it, people. You get in with the friends. That's a little extra added secret here. So yeah,
yeah,
all right. So yeah, that's awesome. And then obviously your brother, hopefully.
my brother. The reason why this even started, it started as like a cool, let's go lift together to like, look what you did, Omar. You got me addicted to this. And then my sponsors, um, he made a huge difference. I mean, him prepping my meals makes a huge stress relief, especially with the careers like that we both had. And then my newest sponsor, which we'll be announcing soon, he reached out to me just yesterday. So I'm super happy and excited for that one, the Alpha Country. So we'll see how everything goes from there.
That is awesome. And again, everyone, go and give her a follow on our Instagram page. I'll leave a link down below. And again, you guys, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.